A billionaire thought his home was perfect. Beautiful rooms, expensive furniture, everything clean and shining like gold. But one afternoon, he walked into his garden and saw something that stopped his heart. His maid was on her knees, crying, eating grass from the ground like an animal. He thought she had gone crazy. But when he learned the truth, it made him fall to his knees and see our why like a child. This is that story. The Sterling mansion stood tall and proud on the hill. Its white walls sparkled in the sunlight. The windows were so clean you could see your face in them. The grass was cut so perfectly it looked like green carpet. Everyone who passed by said the same thing. What a beautiful home. But beauty can hide UGLY's secrets. And inside that perfect house, someone was suffering in silence. Her name was Elena. Elena was a maid. She wore a black dress with a white apron. Her shoes were old but polished. Her hair was tied back neatly. She worked from sunrise to sunset, cleaning every corner of the massive house. She dusted the furniture. She scrubbed the floors until they shined. She washed the windows. She ironed Mr. Sterling's expensive suits. She cooked meals she was never allowed to taste. Elena was a hard worker. She never complained. She never asked for anything extra. But there was O&E things slowly killing her. She was starving. It was Tuesday morning. Elena stood in the hallway, looking at herself in the mirror. Her face looked thinner than last week. Her eyes had dark circles underneath. Her hands shook as she fixed her apron. Her stomach growled so loud it echoed in the empty hallway. She pressed her hand against it, trying to make it stop, trying to make the pain go away. Just get through today, she whispered to herself. Just O&E more day. She took a deep breath and walked toward the kitchen. Maybe, just maybe, there would be a small piece of bread left over. Maybe a crust nobody wanted. Maybe a tiny bite of something, anything. But before she reached the kitchen door, a voice cut through the air like a knife. Where do you think you're going? Elena froze. Mrs. Sterling stood at the end of the hallway. She wore a long silk robe that touched the floor. Her fingernails were painted red. Her hair was perfect. Her face was cold. She looked at Elena the way someone looks at a bug on the wall. I was just... Elena's voice came out weak and shaky. You were just what? Mrs. Sterling walked closer, her eyes narrowing. Don't tell me you thought you'd sneak into MY Kitchen again. Elena looked down at the floor. No, I wasn't. Don't lie to me, Mrs. Sterling snapped. Her voice was sharp and mean. I told you the rule when you started working here. Do you remember the rule, Elena? Elena's throat felt tight. Yes. Say it. Out loud. Elena's lips trembled. Servants don't eat the family's food. That's right. Mrs. Sterling smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was a smile of someone who enjoyed being cruel. Not the leftovers, not the scraps, not even the crumbs. Do you understand me? Yes. Mrs. Sterling walked past her into the kitchen. Elena could hear her pouring coffee. The smell filled the air, warm, rich, delicious. Elena's stomach twisted with pain. You're paid to work, Mrs. Sterling called out. Not to eat. If you're hungry, bring your own food from home. Or starve. Either way, it's not MY problem. Elena stood there, frozen. Her eyes burned with tears, but she blinked them away. Crying wouldn't help. Complaining wouldn't help. The ONOY thing that would help was staying quiet and keeping this job. Because back home, far away from this mansion, Elena had a little boy. His name was Gabriel. He was only 7 years old. And Gabriel was sick. Very, very sick. Every penny Elena earned, she sent back home for his medicine, for his doctor visits, for his food. If she lost this job, Gabriel would have nothing. And if Gabriel had nothing, he might die. So Elena swallowed her pain. She wiped her eyes, and she walked away from the kitchen in silence. The hours crawled by like snails. Elena scrubbed the bathroom until her knees ached. She washed the dishes until her hands turned red and raw. She carried heavy baskets of laundry up and down the stairs. With every step, her body felt heavier. Her head felt dizzy. The room spun around her. She grabbed the wall to keep from falling. Please, God, she whispered, just help me get through today. But God felt very far away. By afternoon, Elena could barely stand. Her legs felt like they were made of water. Her vision blurred. She stumbled outside into the garden, gasping for air. The garden was beautiful. Green grass stretched out like an ocean. Flowers bloomed in perfect rows. A fountain bubbled peacefully in the center. But Elena didn't see the beauty. She saw the ground rushing up to meet her as her legs gave out. She collapsed onto the grass, clutching her stomach. The pain was so strong it made her cry out. I can't do this anymore, she sobbed. Her whole body shook. Tears poured down her face and soaked into the date. She was so hungry, so tired, so broken. And then, in her desperation, she looked down at the grass beneath her. Green, fresh, alive. Her hand reached out. She grabbed a handful, and she shoved it into her mouth. It tasted bitter, awful, like dote and sadness. But it was something. She chewed, tears streaming down her face, and grabbed another handful. Why? She cried into the earth. Why is my life like this? Why? She stuffed more grass between her lips, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. She didn't hear the footsteps on the stone path behind her. She didn't know someone was watching. Not until a deep, shocked voice cut through the air. What in God's name are you doing? Elena's head jerked up. Standing there, only a few feet away, was Mr. Sterling himself, the billionaire. His navy suit was perfect. His shoes were shined. His watch probably cost more than Elena would own in 10 years. But his face looked like he'd seen a ghost. Elena, he said slowly, his voice shaking. Why are you eating grass? Elena froze. Grass hung from her lips. Her hands were covered in date. Her face was wet with tears, and she had no idea what to say. Elena scrambled to her knees. She spit the grass from her mouth. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold them still. Sir, I. The words stuck in her throat like stones. Mr. Sterling stared at her. His eyes were wide with shock, with confusion, with something that looked almost like fear. Are you out of your mind? His voice rose, loud and sharp. Why are you on the ground eating grass like some kind of animal? Shame burned through Elena's whole body. It felt like fire on her skin. She couldn't look at him. She stared at the date, wishing she could disappear into it. I'm sorry, she whispered. Please, sir, I'm so sorry. Sorry. He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her. Sorry for what? I don't want an apology. I want an explanation. What is happening here? Talk to me. Elena's chest rose and fell with panicked breaths. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. She wanted to tell him everything. She wanted to scream the truth. But Mrs. Sterling's warning echoed in her head like thunder. If you complain, you're finished. You'll lose this job. And then what will your family eat? I can't. Elena choked out. You can't. Mr. Sterling's voice cracked with frustration. You can't tell me why I just found you eating grass in my garden? That's your answer. Tears streamed down Elena's face. She shook her head, her whole body trembling. Mr. Sterling clenched his fists. His jaw tightened. He looked like a man trying to hold back an explosion. Elena, he said through gritted teeth, I am asking you. I am begging you. Tell me what is going on, because what I just saw. He stopped. His voice shook. No human being should ever. The sound of a door sliding open cut him off. High heels clicked on the patio stones. What is all this noise about? Elena's blood turned to ice. Mrs. Sterling. She stepped out onto the patio, her silk robe flowing behind her like a queen's cape. She held a coffee cup in one hand. Her face showed no concern, only annoyance. Mr. Sterling turned to face his wife. His whole body was tense. Angry. I'll tell you what this is about, he said, his voice low and dangerous. I just found Elena on her knees in our garden, eating grass. Do you understand what I'm saying? Eating grass. Mrs. Sterling took a slow sip of her coffee. She didn't even blink. Oh, that, she said with a little wave of her hand. Is that what all this drama is about? Mr. Sterling's mouth fell open. Drama? Drama? Are you hearing yourself right now? Don't raise your voice at me, Mrs. Sterling said coldly. She walked closer, looking down at Elena like she was looking at garbage on the sidewalk. She's a servant. Servants do strange things sometimes. It's not our problem. Not our problem. Mr. Sterling's voice shook. She was eating grass, like she's starving. In our home. Mrs. Sterling rolled her eyes. Oh, please, don't be so dramatic. Then explain it to me, he shouted. Explain why our maid is so desperate she's eating grass from the ground. Mrs. Sterling's lips curled into a thin smile. A cool smile. Because, she said slowly, I don't allow the staff to eat our food. I made that rule very clear from day one. The words hung in the air like poison. Mr. Sterling went very, very still. What did you just say? His voice came out quiet. Dangerous quiet. You heard me. Mrs. Sterling lifted her chin. The servants are not allowed to touch the family's food. Not leftovers. Not scraps. Nothing. They get paid wages, don't they? If they're too stupid to bring their own food from home, that's their problem, not mine. Mr. Sterling stared at her. He stared like he was seeing her for the very first time. You've been... He could barely form the words. You've been starving them? In M.Y. House. Oh, stop being so emotional. Mrs. Sterling waved her hand again. This is M.Y. household to run. You're never here. Always at the office. Always traveling. Always in meetings. I'm the one who keeps this house running smoothly. I set the rules. I keep order. Order. Mr. Sterling's voice cracked. You call this order. He pointed at Elena, still on her knees, sobbing into the grass. Look at her. Look at her. She's so hungry she was eating grass. And you just watched it happen. She could bring her own food, Mrs. Sterling said with a shrug. I'm not her mother. I'm not running a charity here. This is a business arrangement. She works. We pay her. End of story. Something inside Mr. Sterling snapped. His hands clenched into fists. His face turned red. His whole body shook. Get out, he said. Mrs. Sterling blinked. Excuse me. I said get out of M.Y.'s sight. His voice roared across the garden. Birds flew from the trees. Get out before I say something I can never take back. Mrs. Sterling's eyes went wide. She opened her mouth to argue, but the look on his face stopped her cold. She had never seen him like this. Never. For a long moment, she just stood there. Then, with a tight smile and cold eyes, she turned and walked back into the house. The door slid shut behind her. Silence fell over the garden. Mr. Sterling stood there, breathing hard, his chest rising and falling like he'd just run a race. Then, slowly, he turned back to Elena. She was still on her knees, still crying, still shaking like a leaf in the wind. He took a deep breath. When he spoke again, his voice was soft, gentle, nothing like before. Elena, he said quietly, please, I need you to tell me the truth now. All of it. I promise you, I swear to you, you will not lose your job. You will not be punished. But I need to understand. Elena sobbed harder. Her whole body shook. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, his voice breaking. Why didn't you come to me? Because... Elena's voice came out in broken pieces. Because she said if I complained, if I told anyone, I would be thrown out. And I... Elena looked up at him with red, swollen eyes. I send all my money home, sir. Every penny. My little boy. His name is Gabriel. He's only 7 years old. Her voice cracked completely. He's sick, sir. Very sick. The doctors say he needs medicine every day or he'll... She couldn't finish. The words were too painful. Mr. Sterling felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Your son, he whispered. If I lose this job, Elena sobbed, Gabriel won't get his medicine. And if he doesn't get his medicine, he'll die. So I stayed quiet. I stayed silent. I thought I could survive. I thought I could be strong enough. She looked down at the grass in her hands. But I'm not strong. I'm weak. I'm so weak. Mr. Sterling felt his eyes burning. His throat closed up tight. His maid wasn't crazy. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't weak. She was a mother trying to keep her child alive. And she had been starving under his own roof while plates of food were thrown into the garbage every single night. His legs felt weak. His hands trembled. Slowly, so slowly, he sank to his knees beside her on the grass. "Elena," he whispered. "Forgive me." She looked up, shocked. "Forgive me," he said again, and this time his voice broke. "Forgive me for not seeing, for not knowing, for letting this happen in my own home." Tears filled his eyes. Real tears, the kind that come from deep inside the heart. He, a billionaire with more money than he could count, was crying. Not because he lost money, not because a business deal failed, but because a loyal, hard-working woman had suffered in silence while he lived in ignorance. "This ends today," he said, his voice shaking but strong. "Do you hear me, Elena? Today, you will never go hungry again. Not while I'm alive. I promise you." Elena sobbed harder, but this time, for the first time in so long, there were tears of relief. The sun was setting over the Sterling mansion. Golden light painted the garden in warm colors. But the most beautiful thing wasn't the sunset. It was a change happening in the billionaire's heart. Mr. Sterling knelt beside Elena on the grass. Tears ran down his face. He didn't care that his expensive suit was getting dirty. He didn't care that his knees hurt. All he cared about was making things right. "Stand up," he said gently, offering Elena his hand. "Please, you don't have to kneel anymore." Elena looked at his hand like she couldn't believe it was real. Slowly, shakily, she took it. He helped her to her feet. She swayed a little, weak from hunger, and he quickly steadied her. "When did you last eat?" he asked. "And I mean really eat. A full meal." Elena's voice was tiny. 3 days ago, sir. I had some bread I brought from home, but it ran out." 3 days. His voice cracked. "You've been working in my house for 3 days with no food." She nodded, looking down. Mr. Sterling's jaw tightened. Anger burned in his chest, not at Elena, but at himself, at his wife, at his own blindness. "Come with me," he said firmly. "Right now." "Sir." "Come with me. Now." He led her toward the house, his hand gently on her back to keep her steady. Elena's legs wobbled with every step. She was so weak she could barely walk. They entered through the back door into the kitchen. The kitchen was huge. Shining counters. A massive refrigerator. Cabinets full of food. Fresh fruit sat in bowls. Bread in the pantry. Cheese. Meat. Vegetables. Everything. And Elena had been forbidden to touch any of it. Mr. Sterling pulled out a chair at the kitchen table. "Sit," he said. "But, sir, Sit, please." Elena sat down slowly, like she was afraid the chair might disappear. Mr. Sterling opened the refrigerator and started pulling things out. Bread, butter, cheese, cold chicken, fruit. He piled it all on the counter. "I'm not a cook," he said with a small, sad smile, "but I can make you a sandwich at least." Elena's eyes went wide. "Sir, you don't have to." "Yes, I do." He turned to face her, and his eyes were serious. "I do have to, because this should have happened every day. You should have been fed every single day you worked here, and I'm so sorry that you weren't." He made her a thick sandwich, 3 layers of bread, piled high with chicken, cheese, lettuce, and tomato. He put it on a plate and set it in front of her. Then he poured her a tall glass of cold milk. "Eat," he said softly. "Please, eat." Elena stared at the food. Fresh tears filled her eyes. "Go in," he urged. "It's okay. I promise." With trembling hands, Elena picked up the sandwich. She took a small bite, then another. Then she couldn't stop. She ate like someone who had been lost in the desert and finally found water. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she chewed. The food tasted like heaven. Mr. Sterling watched her, and his own tears started again. He turned away, wiping his eyes with his hand. How had he let this happen? How had he been so blind? When Elena finished, she looked up at him with grateful eyes. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet," he said. We're not done. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Hello? Yes, this is Richard Sterling. I need you to arrange something for me immediately. I need the best doctor in the city, no, the best doctor in the country, to see a patient, a 7-year-old boy named Gabriel. Yes, I'll send you the details. Money is no object. I don't care what it costs. Just get it done. Tonight. Elena gasped. Sir? What are you? He held up one finger, still talking. And I need medicine delivered. Everything the boy needs. Have it sent to? He looked at Elena. What's your home address? Elena stammered it out, her voice shaking. Mr. Sterling repeated it into phone. Got that? Good. Make it happen. Now. He hung up and turned to Elena. Your son, he said firmly, will see a doctor tonight. The best doctor. And he'll get every medicine he needs. All of it. Free. You won't pay a single penny. Elena's hands flew to her mouth. Sir, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling you. This is happening. But it's too much. It's too expensive. I could never repay. I don't want you to repay me. His voice rose, but it wasn't angry. It was passionate. Elena, do you know how much money I have? She shook her head. More than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. 20 lifetimes. I have money for things I don't need. Houses I don't visit. Cars I don't drive. And all that time, you, a woman who works harder than anyone in this house, you've been starving to keep your son alive. He leaned forward, looking right into her eyes. If my money can't help someone like you, then what good is it? What's the point of having all this wealth if I can't use it to do something right? Elena sobbed. Big, heaving sob that shook her whole body. But these were tears of joy, of hope, of relief so strong it felt like sunlight after years of darkness. Mr. Sterling pulled out a handkerchief and handed it to her. There's more, he said. From now on, you and all the staff will eat 3 meals a day. Good meals. The same food the family eats. I'm writing it into your contract. It's not optional. It's required. Sir, I'm not finished. Your salary is doubled, starting today. And you'll get 2 weeks of paid vacation so you can go home and be with Gabriel while he recovers. Elena couldn't speak. She couldn't even breathe. It felt like a dream. And one more thing, Mr. Sterling said, his voice turning cold. My wife, Mrs. Sterling. She will never speak to you or any other staff member with disrespect again. If she does, if she so much as says any cruel word, you come straight to me. Do you understand? Elena nodded, still crying. You are not just a servant, Elena. You're a person, a mother, a human being with dignity and worth. And you will be treated that way in this house. Always. He stood up straight, his eyes blazing with determination. I was blind, he said quietly. I was so busy building my business, making money, chasing success, that I forgot what matters most. People, kindness, compassion. He looked around the huge kitchen, the marble counters, the expensive appliances, the food that could feed 20 families. What good is a perfect house, he said slowly, if cruelty lives inside it? Elena wiped her eyes. You're a good man, so. No, he said, shaking his head. Not yet, but I'm trying to be. Starting today. 1 month later, the Sterling mansion looked the same from the outside. White walls, perfect lawn, beautiful garden. But inside, everything had changed. Elena returned from her time at home with Gabriel. The little boy was healthy now. The medicine worked. The doctors said he would be just fine. When Elena walked through the door, the other staff members cheered. They hugged her. They celebrated. Because things were different now. There was food in the staff kitchen. Real food. Hot meals 3 times a day. Nobody went hungry. Nobody was treated like they didn't matter. Mr. Sterling made sure of it. He ate meals with the staff sometimes, asking about their families, their lives, their dreams. He learned their names, their stories. He saw them as people. And Mrs. Sterling? She moved out. The divorce papers were filed within 2 weeks. Mr. Sterling looked at his life and realized something important. All the money in the world meant nothing if he shared it with someone who had no heart. He kept the mansion, but he filled it with kindness instead of cruelty. The lesson: late one evening, Mr. Sterling stood in the garden where he had found Elena that terrible day. The grass was green and perfect, just like before, but he was different now. He thought about the moment he saw her on her knees, crying, eating grass. That image would stay with him forever. It changed him. It broke him. And then it rebuilt him into someone better. Money can buy many things, he said quietly to himself. But it can't buy compassion. It can't buy kindness. It can't buy a soul. He learned that the hardest way possible. But he learned, and that made all the difference. To you, the reader, this story is over, but its message doesn't have to end here. Look around your life. Is there someone suffering in silence? Someone invisible? Someone working hard but struggling? Maybe you can't help like a billionaire can, but you can help. A kind word, a shared meal, a moment of respect. These things cost nothing, but they mean everything. If this story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video so more people can find it. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe so you never miss stories that remind us what it means to be human. And in the comments below, tell us, what would you have done if you were Mr. Sterling? Have you ever witnessed someone being treated unfairly? How did you stand up for them? Your story might inspire someone else to do the right thing, because that's what stories do. They change us. They remind us. They make us better. Thank you for reading Elena's story. Now go out there and be the change someone needs. The measure of a life is not in what you gain, but in what you give.